I held my friend's mother's hand, and we lay down on the bed together. We turned off the light, and we became one. She was relieving the resentment she had accumulated through me. Please like and subscribe. I am a college student. Throughout my college life, I only had one girlfriend. There were many girls who approached me with affection, but there was no girl among them that I particularly wanted to date. I believe that conversation is important in human relationships. I wanted to date a girl with whom I could have a good conversation, but it didn't go as well as I hoped. My friend has been living with a single mother since he was young, due to his father's infidelity. His parents divorced, and he lived with his older sister under his single mother. I heard that the mother of my friend has been living miserably for over 20 years, raising 2 children alone by working alone. Despite being a divorced woman, she had many temptations from men. She looks as if she has never suffered, despite the hardships she has faced. Therefore, there must have been many temptations from men. She was often encouraged to work in a bar. She considered it because she could earn a lot of money, but she rejected the suggestion, thinking of her children. She said that many men tempted her at work. Therefore, she started to thoroughly hide the fact that she was a divorcee. Among the men who tempted her, there were men who were much older. When she heard from a man about her father's age that lonely people should meet and date, she felt a great sense of guilt. She pretended to be a married woman and hid the fact that she was divorced, but there were still many men who tempted her. It seems that there is no doubt that my friend's mother is beautiful. She didn't have time to care about makeup or dress because she was at work most of the time, except for sleeping. But there were so many temptations. The sister of my friend worked hard for her mother after becoming an adult, and my friend was able to enter college with the help of his mother and sister. My friend and I became friends in college. I grew up in a wealthy home. Since I was young, our house had a housekeeper, so my parents were financially well off. I was able to study as much as I wanted with the support of my parents, and went to college without any problems. My friend worked part-time diligently after entering college. I became curious about my friend. I wondered if my busy friend had time to study, and why he lived without time to meet friends because of part-time jobs. We quickly became friends and nurtured our friendship when he had time. I felt good about my friend's heart for his mother and sister. I was so happy to share friendship with such a kind-hearted friend. My friend always told me that he was grateful to me. When I asked what there was to be thankful for between friends, he said he was thankful that I became a friend with him, who was busy with part-time jobs. One day, my friend suggested going to his house. Without any particular thoughts, I went to his house with him. When I went to my friend's house, his mother greeted me with a bright smile. Shortly after, my friend's sister came in with her hands full of groceries, apparently having stopped by the supermarket on her way home from work. I was playing with my friend when his mother called us to have dinner. The table was filled with delicious food. As I was eating dinner, my friend's mother earnestly asked me to get along well with her son. I told her that of course we would because we were good friends. The sister said it was the first time her younger brother had brought a friend home since he was born, so she was very happy. I felt good being treated so warmly by my friend's family. Although I met my friend's mother and sister for the first time that day, they did not feel strange at all. I think I felt familiar with them because they treated me so kindly. However, a few days later, I found out why. I felt so familiar with my friend's mother. When I was young, There was a housekeeper who came to our house. My parents were strict with their children, but that lady always protected me. She was about the same age as my mother and always treated me kindly. When I got scolded by my parents, the lady comforted me. Even when I behaved a bit recklessly, she treated me with a gentle smile. But one day, she suddenly quit working at our house. I asked my parents why she quit working at our house, but they didn't answer. Later, when I was in high school, my parents told me the lady had gone to heaven due to a traffic accident and could no longer come to our house. My parents did not tell me this because they were worried I would be shocked. The reason I felt so familiar with my friend's mother was because she resembled that housekeeper. I often went to my friend's house. Since my friend's mother and sister welcomed me so much, I wanted to go there again and again. My friend's house was not as strict as ours, which was very nice. If I made any jokes, my friend's mother and sister laughed out loud. They even laughed out loud at jokes that didn't seem to be funny. My friend finished his first year of college and decided to go abroad to study languages with the money he had saved. I went to the airport with my friend and cheerfully saw him off. A few days later, I began to miss my friend's mother and sister. I thought his house would be silent without my friend. So a few days later, I went to my friend's house. When I rang the doorbell, my friend's mother was surprised to see me. "I thought you might need a son, so I came," I said, laughing loudly. My friend's mother, tears welled up in her eyes, said it was good to come. She grabbed my arm and hurried me inside. From that day on, I frequently visited my friend's house. My friend's mother and sister always welcomed me. I made a lot of jokes to lighten the mood, and they loved my sense of humor. One day, my friend's mother asked me with a serious expression if I liked her daughter, my friend's sister. I was taken aback as I had no such feelings. When I was unable to answer her question, she told me it was okay and asked me to tell the truth. So, I revealed my innermost feelings. I mentioned the housekeeper from my childhood, who had warmly embraced me, and how her face is now a vague memory. As I spoke about how warmly she had treated me, tears unknowingly welled up in my eyes. When I mentioned that my friend's mother greatly resembled the housekeeper, which is why I kept visiting, she silently embraced me. I cried in her arms for a long time. She kept apologizing to me, saying she thought I was always a cheerful person and wasn't aware of my painful past. She mentioned how she wished she had a playful son like me because her own son was very taciturn. She had been expecting me to visit often and make her laugh, despite not realizing I had such a painful past. She was grateful that I visited often and made the house lively. One day, my friend's mother shared her tough past of raising 2 children. She spoke about times when she was tempted by numerous men and how she felt a sense of guilt and hardship when an older man tried to seduce her. She mentioned how she had to fend off these temptations while only thinking about her children and how lonely she had been. She was grateful that I frequently visited and lightened the atmosphere of the house. She mentioned how she wished that a man like me had been the head of their household. She cried for a long time. All I could do was sit next to her and pat her shoulder. I told her that it's time for my friend's sister to come home from work, so she should stop crying and cheer up. However, my friend's sister didn't come home that day. After crying for a long time, she forced a smile. It was late at night, but I couldn't leave her alone. When she told me to go home, I told her that I would stay at their house that night, and she silently nodded. I was going to sleep in my friend's room, but she said she felt too lonely and it would be too hard to be alone in her room. I promised to stay with her until she fell asleep. I told her to lie down on the bed, and I sat in a chair. She kept talking to me, but I couldn't really hear what she was saying. "Do you feel bad falling asleep? Just like that?" Her question woke me up abruptly. Unable to respond, she invited me to come to bed. She said she would put me to bed, just like the housekeeper used to do. The thought of the housekeeper brought tears to my eyes again. I lied down on the bed, crying. That night, we spent a beautiful time together, finally falling asleep when dawn broke. The next day, she asked for my forgiveness, apologizing for her inappropriate behavior as an old woman. She promised that nothing like the previous night would happen again. I told her that it was me who should be asking for forgiveness. She held on to me, crying for a long time. From that day, we spoke on the phone every day. Whenever I had time, she would rush over. Hoping she wouldn't feel lonely, I talked to her every day. A few days ago, she told me that these are the brightest days of her life. She says she doesn't mind if I abandon her at any time. She says she will serve me as a son-in-law until the day she is abandoned by me. I am so happy because of her, who sends me infinite trust and love.